Welcome to Get Better Basketball Live. I'm Coach DeMarco, and today my guest is Coach Tyler Bardo, head basketball coach at Central Mountain High School in Pennsylvania. Coach Bardo has shared out with us previously on using wide pin downs in a motion offense. In today's episode, he's going to talk about how he took this concept to the next level to get his team to back-to-back Pennsylvania 5A district championships and a 24-3 record in this past season. You're not going to want to miss this episode. But before I jump into it, make sure you hit that like button down below, turn on your notifications, and subscribe to Get a Better Basketball on YouTube for more great video breakdowns each and every week. Another Get Better Basketball Live is up now. Coach DeMarco here with Coach Tyler Bardo, head basketball coach at Central Mountain High School, back-to-back 5A district champions in Pennsylvania. Coach, welcome to Get Better Basketball Live.
Thanks for having me back again, Coach. How are you?
I'm excited to see the progression and the progress that you've made with this offense. So let's jump into it.
So here you're going to see, again, year 6 of this progression the whole way through. We're going to start with a couple of clips of wide pin downs. And we've already had a little bit of exchange coming up the floor. Our big here is going to come down and set this wide pin right here. Now, these two guys involved in the action are both seniors, both guys that have been coming up through this. And the cutter coming off of this, you'll see him a little bit in some of our other films, as he was kind of on that film as a freshman and now all the way up through. This would be his senior season. Here, you see him coming off that tight. He doesn't really spend a lot of time walking his guy down to the box or anything like that. I know some of the times that's some old school way of doing it. He puts his defender at level of the screen. He reads that he's coming over the top, which should indicate a tight curl. And our big right here will pop out of that as well.
Coach, quick reminder here. I know you talked about this in your other videos, but the reads off of that screen, you're talking about the curl, your fade, your back cut. So could you just give us a quick synopsis of the different reads, and then also the screener? It looks like they're setting up three-point line, essentially. Yep. So just for coaches that are watching this for the first time, they go back and look at the other videos for more detail, but just a quick synopsis of what you're trying to accomplish here with the screens.
So as you see here, our big, now he's a little lower than I'd like, and our big here is 6'6", so he covers a lot of ground. So we want to straddle that three-point line. His depth on the three-point line is good, and what I mean by that is he's not setting the screen here in the slot or the high wing. He's more to the mid to the low wing. And the reason why that's a big deal for us is because our guard here, very explosive. We really work. One of our elements is the drive and kick element. It's not an element I'm going to show you because this is more about our screens and how we work for one another. But what this is doing is opening up that double gap for an explosive player to be able to go one-on-one or be able to read the help if he were to drive the basketball here in this big steps. We have a dump down, of course. So the depth in which he's getting on that perimeter line is really important for us. I would like to see him a little bit higher, meaning straddle the three-point line if we could. You can see here, and these are two very good players. So that, as you can see, there's not a lot of space coming off of either one of them. That may not always be the case depending on who these players are, but that's where some of the other reads come into play. So here, you're going to notice my cutter here. I'll freeze it here, right? Really slow to fast coming off of that. We talk a lot about pace. We don't want to be in a race to come off of that. It's not really for us about the speed. It's about the separation that we create from the use of these screens. You'll see, even though he's standing on the line, he's got a nice wide base. He really tries to get into it, whatever the officials will allow at that point of the game, to just get a little bit of contact. The cutter does a great job of walking him to the level. And what I mean by that is the cutter is actually a body width above the screen. The defender is at the level of the screen. And what we want to do is we want to try and draw him off. I'll see if I can stop it here. And you see there, now this is one step a little bit too far, but his outside foot, we want the cutter's outside foot to match with the outside foot of the screener every single time. You mentioned there's 4 types of cuts that we can make off of this. If the defender goes under, we're going to fade or flare or pop, whatever your terminology might be in your offense or your preference. If he obviously denies, we're going back door. If he tries to fight through the chest of our screener, our cutter's going to end up somewhere coming directly for the ball, not on the perimeter. We always try because he's still a cutter coming to the ball, but he's going to try to get into where my hand is here, my mouse is here, looking for whether it's a jump shot or what have you. His defender goes over the top, so you see him come down inside for a nice tight curl, a little delayed on that tight curl. A big piece of that had to do with the footwork. If you go back to where we were, I'll stop it again where he comes off. He's got his inside foot to the high side. Now, still closes it down, but what should be happening here is his trail foot, his high side foot, should be pushing off right down off the tail of this offensive play, off the screener. That's working for him. Really tighten that up. What that does is it attracts this defender to the screener's defender. I got to stop, help and stop him. Where that is if this is a player right here coming off the cut, then that screener's defender, the edge man, is going to take that cutter, which is going to free up that screener to get a nice little pop. And then from there, we talk about, we can go into who, a player's primary game. Is he a good 3-point shooter? Should he be really focusing on, hey, there's that closeout, I'm going to attack and get into the dribble drive part of our offense. So this is not a perfect repetition right here, but the intent is there. You can see where the mentality, where the drilling comes into play. So it still works out. Again, we have two really good players involved right here to make that work. It's not perfect, but again, just that intent is going to make up for that.
I think a lot of teams now, it's read and react, which is awesome. And I think there's a lot of that built in here. But I think sometimes people shy away from using wide pin downs or using off ball screens. It's ball screens, it's dribble handoffs, it's, create space and drive and attack. So, I love what you're sharing here, and I hope it encourages more coaches to take a chance to, I don't know if it's taking a chance, but to use an offense where you're setting these off-ball screens. And Coach Soderberg spoke about it in an early episode, and you've done multiple episodes on it as well. So you do a really nice job breaking it down for coaches. And as we look at the next clips, I'm hoping that you'll continue to build on the progress you guys have made from your year one to your year six, as we take a look at this second clip here.
Yeah, and before we get to that second clip, I guess I'll make a little point where the small details, we harp on them all the time. Where I have grown as a coach is to relax. And one of the things that I've adopted is we have the rule of 80-20. So we want to give ourselves 20% grace to make those mistakes, because if not, we're just going to play tight all the time. And I can say from a progression standpoint, we averaged 62.5 my very first year, which was a lot of points. Now, again, we're a state in Pennsylvania that does not carry a shot clock list. You don't see one up there above the rim. And, we have a lot of really good coaches, but, everybody kind of adapts to whatever your rules are. So you have teams, we have some of the better programs in our area that are, you hear all the time, be patient, move the basketball. And it's not that you're not being patient, in this, but this is not, this is an offense that, because of all the different reads and the progressions and things like that, you could conceivably get the shot that you're looking for very, very early in your possession. And, to be okay with that, for me, again, adopted that 80-20 so that I'm not sitting there telling him in the time, hey, man, you got to get your high side to your high side. We'll go back and look at that in film. It'll just be one of those re-ups that we talk about, but it's I would say, you go back and look at that very first video that you and I did. I'm highlighting with the orange boxes that huddle houses to it. Here's that foot. Here's this and that. Got a little more. I don't want to say lenient. That's still the standard. It's still the expectation. But again, adopting that 80-20 rule. I sprinkled this in because this is actually from year one. So you're going to see here. This is my very first year. This is in the district championship game here. And you can see the wide pin down being set here. Now, again, you're talking about a little more lax, maybe more of a pack line type of concept defensively, keeping us out of the paint. The player coming off of the screen right now, was back-to-back league MVP, including this year. This has been his junior year at the time. He's progressed into a college MVP in his league as well now. So the kid can play a little bit. They're a little more lax with him. You can see my screener goes down. We're finding his man. And the read is kind of easy because they're going to allow him to play the perimeter. So he's able to fade, and you see, he kind of takes his time and maybe even pull a little switch here, and he's late to step out on him. And this is a shot you have to take. And so, this is an easy thing for us then to rep. Where do our shots come from in practice? How do we want those shots to work? We do a lot of footwork, into our shots in practice. And this is one of the reasons why we want to try, as you kind of alluded to, we want to simplify this as much as possible. So, he's able to knock the three down, and here we're coming right back to the senior year, 6 years later. I'll run this back just a little bit to see that progression. So this is 6 years later, 6 years the junior here coming into this, and here you see there's that pin down right here on the weak side, and it's kind of hard to see it because you're always watching the basketball. Those weak side pins are my favorite. So number 3, once again, good depth, finding that guy. He's screening for a player that's not as offensively. I don't want to say offensively gifted because this kid's got a lot of ability, but he wasn't the game plan. We have the kid actually setting the screen here is scored 945 points in 2 seasons in varsity basketball. Was a third team All-Stater in the season that this film is in. So he's a player, right? So how do we go? But this kid right here is playing to his strength. Essex is playing to his strength right here, and makes this tight curl, even though the read is pop. And this is where that progression comes from, right? Where normally in year 1, he's going to pop. And now you're going to put a player in a position where, it's not that he can't hit that three. He absolutely can hit that three, but it's not his primary game. His primary game is going to the rim. This dude is unbelievable. When you talk about a motor when playing, he's one of my favorite to watch ever, and not just coach, but watch because of the way that he plays the game. He's going to make this take her in, and you saw it right there. His first inclination is, I'm going to, again, we're watching right over here in our lower right-hand corner. His first inclination right here is to pop. You see him kind of put the weight on that outside foot. But one of the things in the progressions for me as a coach and our coaching staff is, what is your primary game? I want you to hunt those things. And so he sees, look, I'm a little bit bigger and I'm a lot stronger than this player right here. Let me go inside on him, put a perimeter shooter on the perimeter based on the read. And even though it's not, the physical pieces to it all are not correct read, it is what is correct for these two players. And this is not something that is designed by me. This is something and this is why it's a 6-year progression, because one of the things that we've had to instill in our players for so long is, here's your strengths. The off season that we're in right now is a time to work on those strengths. So maybe your strengths your weaknesses turn to strengths, and your role grows in terms of a school or what have you. But no matter what, when the season rolls around, I want you to play the player that you are. And, this kid does a wonderful job right here. And you're going to see number 3 just kind of leak out, right? And, now he's there. But look where the ball goes. Right back to the kid who is going to pop. Says, nope, my game's in here. And he's going to get a quick post up right here. And this also takes it to, I'm very big on, there is no positions. This kid is 6'6" that just entered the ball to a 6'6" kid in basketball shoes. It's not this, it's just not the same game. They're playing to their strengths right here. I love it. And you're going to see him kind of and look at the post move. That's a good post move. It's a good defensive play there as well. But it was a great post move. Couple of dribbles to the back down, and you have that one to the rim, one to the ball sense from it all. And I'll play it back one more time here. Again, in the lower right hand, he pops out. So there's one to the rim, literally number 1 to the rim. 3's going to pop right here. We're going to reverse the basketball. Thinks about it. Nope, not a good shot, but we get the position in here that we're working for and leave him one-on-one. Out of this the whole time, look at what's going on the weak side. we have another down screen coming just in case. And you can start to see, as I'll give a little bit of tidbit, we'll get to that in the next one. Here comes our pinch post action coming up if we need it or if we want to go to it. So we don't, we drop it down, we see that matchup, and we're going to leave him one-on-one inside there. And he gets a piece of the ball, makes a nice defensive play. There's that 80-20 we're talking about. But what more could you want? That's an A+ shot as we grade in our grading system in our offenses to get a layup opportunity. And you get the ball in there. You know, Gannon Baker, go watch anything on him, man. He's talking kill zones, Kobe kill zones, and we're going to put the ball down low, and more fouls happen here. And in Pennsylvania, one of the things that's widely being adopted by from NFHS is now you have a 5 foul rule per quarter. So does this change the game a little bit for us when you're talking about, hey, we can really be deliberate. I got to get the ball down here. This is where our patience can come in this offense, and we make sure that we mark matchups down there in doing so. So you get to see a little bit of that in that aspect. So I alluded to a little bit of the pinch post that you were going to see. So we'll jump to another clip here, and here's going to be all those pinch post actions that we're talking about again here, year 6. So we dump it in there. Now, here's the thing about this clip. It is because the two pieces flow together as we go to yesteryear here. This was actually 2 seasons ago, finishing up that one to the rim, one to the ball. You already have, we pushed the ball here. You already have this pinch post action happening just because, or this wide pin down on the weak side happening just because of where the nature of our offense and how the two flow very well together. So you can see the progression of, okay, we're going to really focus on our wide pin downs. Now our pinch post, it utilizes the wide pin down. So not just an easy transition, but the logical transition for us in our development of offense. And so there's our one to the rim. Here's our one to the ball. And putting guys in position in this to, again, you're creating for each other. You're, in some of our earlier videos, the PowerPoints that I use, stay and work, I really hammered that point home. Number 2 right here is our sophomore. He's understanding I'm playing with an all-state player right here. He's gaining a lot of attention, as he should. But how does that help me develop my game? So here he's popping one to the ball, and there's nobody really coming after him, allows him to hit that 3-point shot. Here's a little more deliberate wide pin down. Now, I'll mention this. Your pinch post player, your post player, if you will, should have a really good skill set to pass the ball, to read. He should be sort of a facilitator in that spot. Not that you use this time and again. We don't come down and say, hey, we're going to do this and this and this and this. It's flow. I really try to let the guys play because basketball is an art to me. And I think that they should hold the brush and paint that canvas a little bit as every possession goes. The depth in which he's catching the ball here, and this kid's got a rock. So I'm okay with that. There's some guys I need to catch where the defense is and allow things to happen, make things a little bit simpler. Him, I'm okay with it. If this is a shooter, which he's not, he can shoot a little bit, certainly not his primary part of his game. But if this is a shooter, certainly this coming season, yeah, you could see our guys, we're much smaller group, see us extend out there a little bit because we have 5 guards, but we're still going to keep doing the same thing. So year 7, who knows? We'll see how that progresses again, talking about the pieces that we have. But you stay with those down screens, and that's the thing about the pinch post here. So we enter it to the high post. What that does is basically forces these 2 guys and then this weak side defender to make a decision on how they're going to guard it because the big cannot leave our big. And so as we come through here, there we see the overplay. We get a back door. So there's another
So, Coach, you guys jump into the wide pin downs pretty seamlessly, which is credit to you as a coach. You guys obviously have repped it. Players know it. They know the reads. They know what they're doing. For coaches out there who are watching, would you say you're a 4-0 team, a 5-0 team? Could you do it from different looks? Because I think that's something coaches will look at, like, their personnel and how could they use wide pin downs in their offense and sort of what triggers. Is it an automatic? The ball comes down the left side of the floor, you're doing a weak side wide pin down, or what triggers this action for you guys?
So for us, slot to slot pass, now we may go slot to corner and get a double stagger away. Um, that kind of a segue to do you want it to be 4 out or 5 out? Because every single time you go down, if you're going to go slot there, you could have your big come out and set that double stagger. It also depends on your personnel too. And there we get to that where I say it's not so much about personnel for me, but it is. That's ways that you can adjust it. In our pinch post action here as we go. That's going to be you're going to see easily, and coaches will definitely pick up on. Hey, I got a shooter that I can put in that spot. Maybe I have a little bit of a Swiss Army knife. I have somebody who can shoot. I have somebody who can attack. I have somebody who, is a good has a good understanding of the game. And if it's a situation where I catch and I just got to keep